Also on the show today, we've been talking about mould in homes and how it's making life a misery for a grandmother in Hastings. In fact, it's so bad in her house, her 7-month-old grandson had to be hospitalised because of the damp. I spoke to Victoria Wilson earlier this morning.
We had the damp mould start a year ago, and then obviously when he was born in June, I say it was about September, October time, that the moulds, when the winter hit again, that's when it all came back. But we wasn't aware that it was behind all the furniture in the baby's room, because my daughter and my grandson sleep in the dining room, and that is where the water is, on the other side of the dining room, in the alleyway, where Hastings got flooded.
Yes.
Obviously, I got flooded at the passageway, but yeah, we didn't realise until near Christmas time how bad it was. He got ill and we took him to the doctors, and we just thought he had a general cold, but he never had any other symptoms. He didn't have a temperature or anything like that. It was literally just his chest.
So are you back in the same house now at the moment, Victoria?
Yes, we're back. We've been back now a week.
What's it like?
All they've done, so the whole 6 weeks we was in the hotel, nothing was done. So the day we moved back, that's when they mould washed the walls.
So when you moved back into the house, or they did the walls before you moved back in?
Yeah. So literally all they did was the day we moved back in. They wanted to mould wash the walls and treat the walls with a sealant the day we came back. The whole 6 weeks we was in the hotel, nothing was done. And then the next day after we were here, they sent Booker and Bess round, and all they did was rip the wallpaper off, which obviously showed all the mould again.
Have they redecorated yet? Have you got wallpaper back up?
No.
I think are they coming today to discuss this with you?
They're sending a surveyor out and a managing director surveyor, so a higher-up surveyor.
Okay.
But, yeah, other than that, I'm a bit concerned still, because the main cause of the problem, which is the water in the alleyway, is still coming in. And every day it rains, it's scary, because we can see the water coming through the brickwork.
Victoria Wilson speaking to me earlier. Well, her housing association, Southern Housing, says it takes reports of mould extremely seriously. And as we said, a meeting with Victoria today to discuss more about what they can do to help. Listening to that is Suzanne Mooner, who's Secretary of the Social Housing Action Campaign. Suzanne, good morning.
Good morning.
What did you think about what Victoria just told us there?
It's absolutely shocking, isn't it, to hear about anyone having to live in these kind of conditions, but particularly where they've got children around, and to hear these kind of stories, even after Awaab Ishak's death, who was a 2-year-old who died because of damp and mould, and we're still hearing these stories. And that happened in 2016, 2017, I think it was, although the coroner's ruling only came out last year, I think. Yeah. But we're still hearing these stories. It's just not good enough that these major landlords are not addressing the problems.
And Victoria was telling us about her son who has disabilities, who's sleeping on a small mattress there. They can't use, I think, the living room in the house. And also, what we didn't hear there was how bad her grandson's cough was. I mean, 7 months old, and you could really hear his chest rattling on that. And so, do we feel sometimes powerless? If we're in a housing association house, how powerful are we in that relationship?
Well, I mean, government has been making a really big deal of this new Awaab's law, haven't they, where they're saying that it's going to, force housing associations to address conditions like this much more quickly. That's not at all our experience. We don't have any confidence in SHAC. We don't have any confidence in this new legislation. The legislation already exists, which requires homes to be fit for human habitation. It is called the Homes Fit for Human Habitation Act, So there is legislation already there. The biggest problem is enforcing it, because these big landlords are wholly unaccountable. They will ignore the regulator, they will ignore the ombudsman, they will ignore the courts. We were speaking to a housing solicitor recently who said about half of all his casework is going back into court with people where they've already won some ruling from the court for some kind of remedial action, but the landlord hasn't carried it out. The housing association hasn't carried it out. And there's just no excuse for it.
And I think in Victoria's case, that the housing association say they haven't got other properties to move her family into at the moment. So housing stock is an issue as well.
I mean, I don't buy that at all. I don't buy that at all. If they can't move them out into another if they're a big landlord, they will have empty properties that are in decent condition. There are other options as well. They can move them out into hotels, into other apartments.
Yeah, they moved them back from a hotel on the day they came to damp course the wall.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, what's the reason for doing that? That is just such a ridiculous thing to do. And all they've done, as she said, is actually rip off the wallpaper and expose everybody even more to these mould spores.
Yeah. And the water's still on the upper side of the wall. All right, Suzanne.
I mean, the sector is a very, very wealthy sector. We're not talking about council housing here. The housing association sector has an operating surplus of 4.4 billion. They could be doing a lot more to address these kind of conditions, but nobody is forcing them to do it.
Suzanne, thanks for your view this morning. Suzanne Mooner there, Secretary of the Social Housing Action Campaign.